So I usually teach Hatha yoga, but I've been incorporating some Kundalini yoga. So that's what this mantra was a Kundalini yoga mantra. And so if I play some mantras today, that's what they are. They are mantras, which are just sound code frequencies that are there as tools to help us raise our energy. So that's what we're doing in yoga, is we're raising our energy. So we use the postures and the breath to raise our energy. And so when we breathe, we want to make sure we inhale, push your belly out, exhale, push your belly in. So at any time, if you can't do any of the postures, just come back to your breath, because that's the most important part. So that's where we get our life force energy from, is the breath. So you just want to make sure you're breathing. Inhale, push your belly out. Exhale, push your belly in. So make sure you're doing those breaths the whole time. And so we will start the class with an intention. So let's bring our hands to our hearts. Let's close our eyes. So we had that big summer solstice and the eclipse and the new moon. And so we're going to continue to ride that wave as a group, and we're going to create an intention for our class today. And know that that eclipse, we came out different on the other side. And so we can still continue to do that work as a group. And when we come together, everything is heightened. So we will do what we did last week. We're going to create an intention for our yoga practice today. So just take a moment. Let's take some breaths. We'll take 3 yogic breaths. So inhale, push your belly out. Exhale, push your belly in. And then keeping your eyes closed, we'll just create an intention for our class today. So maybe there's something that you really want to stretch, your back is hurting, you want to stretch your back out. Maybe you want to focus more on getting in touch with yourself, getting grounded, whatever you want your intention for the class to be tonight. We'll go ahead and create that intention. We'll do a little spirit to spirit to heal it. So this is aligning ourselves. That way we always have the best outcome, and you can do it anytime, but right now we're using it to create an intention for our practice. So we're going to acknowledge our own spirit. So just take a moment and feel inside your chest. That's where your spirit is. I like to pick a color for it. So just imagine what color your spirit is. If you don't see a color, just make up a color. And then we're going to acknowledge all of our healing guides, which is our angels, our ancestors, the elementals, anybody that's around you that's there to help you out. Those are your healing guides. We're just going to acknowledge them and the highest versions of themselves. And then we're going to acknowledge the higher power. So you can call it God, you can call it truth, you can call it, I like to call it universal cosmic consciousness. So we're just acknowledging the divine, and then that's it. So we'll open our eyes. So by doing that, that is just aligning us, so that way we can have the best yoga class. So we're usually doing the sitting down because of Zoom, but we got to stand up. I got to do this standing up. I can't keep doing it sitting down. So if you can't see me as well, I'm sorry, but let's come into mountain pose. So come into a standing position. There's the last person. Okay, so come into mountain pose. So we're standing on our mat, so feet together, and then we're gonna make sure our knees are over our ankles, our hips are over our knees, and you wanna slightly roll your hips forward. You don't want to be like jetting forward out like this, and you want to still have a slight curve to your back because our spines are naturally curvy. So just slightly tuck your hips in, so that way you have the alignment but you still have that slight curvature of the back. And then let's roll our shoulders back and down. So we're standing up really tall. You want to feel like you want to tuck your chin in. You want to feel like there's a string being pulled through the top of your head. So we're creating lots of space in between our vertebra. So during the day, gravity compacts our vertebra together. So we're standing up really tall, creating all sorts of space in our spine. Let's gently rock forward and back, left and right. So you want to just make sure the weight is evenly distributed in your feet. So you may notice, like when you're standing still, you may have like one weight and one leg more than the other. So we don't want to do that here. We want the weight evenly distributed. So just rock back and forth, rock left and right, so that way you can get the weight evenly distributed. Press your feet into the mat. You know, we're always wearing shoes, and women are wearing high heels. So you want to press down on the 3 points of your foot. So you have 1 point on the heel of your foot, and then the 2 points on the ball of your foot. So you want to press down on your feet. Again, make sure your shoulders are rolled back and down. So this is mountain pose, Tadasana. Take a couple breaths here. So make sure you're taking that yogic breath. You can even put your hand on your belly. Inhale, push your belly out. Exhale, push your belly in. We're going to do some forward folds. So inhale, reach up really tall. And then exhale, come forward. And then we're just going to slowly roll to the top. Our hands are going to come to our heart. And then we're going to do that again. So we're not coming into a really deep forward fold yet. We're just warming up. So inhale, you can come up onto your toes. Exhale, arms come down, come forward. So we'll do that 5 more times. So inhale, round up, bring your hands to your heart, bring them up over your head. Exhale, you can come up onto your toes. So that's 2. So we'll do 3 more on your own. And then when you're finished, just come back to mountain pose. So feet together. Make sure your knees are over ankles. You can bend your knees. Align yourself. You want to feel that string being pulled through the top of your head. So creating all that space in between your vertebra. Okay, so let's come into half moon pose, Ardha Chandrasana on the right. So we're going to inhale, lift up really tall, and then exhale, we'll come over to the right. So you'll feel the stretch all down the left side. Let's take some really deep breaths here. So you'll feel the stretch down the left side. And you want to bring your navel in toward your spine, and you're lifting through the rib cage. So that way you're stretching all those little muscles in between your ribs. So that way we can get more oxygen in there. And then come back to center, big circle with the arms. Let's do that on the other side. Inhale, reach up really tall. Exhale, come down to your heels. Now we'll come over to the left. So if you weren't lifting through the rib cage on the other side, see if you can do it on this side. So you bring your navel in towards your spine, and then you lift through the rib cage. Let's take some really deep breaths. then come back to center, big circle with the arms. And then let's come into our forward fold, Uttanasana. So inhale, reach up really tall. This time come forward, come deep into your forward fold. So you can grab the back of your legs here. You can let your arms fall forward, whatever feels good. And then slowly roll to the top. Your head's gonna come up last. And then come back to center. Let's come back to mountain pose. So feet together. Make sure your knees are over your ankles. Roll your shoulders back and down. Slightly tuck your tailbone in. Feel that string being pulled through the top of your head. Stand up really tall. If you feel like you're holding a bunch of tension in your shoulders, just try to let them relax. Just let them slide down your back. You want your chin slightly tucked in, so that way your head is aligned. Okay, so let's do 5 shoulder rolls to the front. And then we'll do 5 to the back. Okay, so now let's come into eagle pose, Tadasana on the right. So we'll start with the right arm up, and then if you've never done this, hopefully you can see. So the right arm is gonna come up, and then our left arm is gonna come under and around. So if that hurts or you can't do that, just gently put your arm under. It's not about, I hope you can see that. It's not about like how far you can go. You don't want to hurt yourself. You just want to feel the stretch. If this is as far as you can go, that's fine. You're doing it right. You want to focus on the breathing anyways. The breathing is the most important part. So bring your left arm under, and it's a balancing posture. So what we're doing is finding a point in front of us to help us balance. That's our drishti, and we're going to stare at that point. And then so you're going to bring the left arm under, and then we're going to bring that right foot over, so you can stay here or you can come into a curtsy. So we'll take 3 breaths here. So you want to feel the stretch across the shoulder blades here. And you kind of want to lift the elbows up and away from your face. So if this is too hard or too complicated, just come back to this and have the arm under like this, that's fine. But if you've been doing this posture for a while, you want to bring the elbows kind of up to shoulder level, and you want to bring the hands away from the face. And then release that, bring the left foot down. So let's shake that out if you need to. Do some shoulder rolls. Shake it out. Okay, so let's do that on the other side. So we'll start with the left arm up, and then find that point in front of you to help you balance. That's your drishti. And then we're gonna bring the right arm up, and then we'll bring the left foot over. So you can keep it on the mat like this, or you can come into the curtsy. And if you've been doing this for a while, you're gonna bring the elbows up to shoulder level and bring the arms away from the face. So hopefully you can see.
Powering off.
Make sure you're breathing. You want to take the yogic breaths here and really inhale and exhale. That's what you came here for, to get that yogic breath in, to raise your energy. So let's do it together. And bring the arms down, bring the left foot down, shake that out if you need to. Okay, so let's come into Tadasana. So we're gonna bring the feet a little bit more than hip width apart, and then your feet are gonna be facing inwards. And we're gonna keep the hands on the hips, so we'll inhale, and then we'll exhale, come forward. So we're bending at the hips and just come into a forward fold. Take some really deep breaths here. And then let's inhale, come up. And then exhale, heel toe back in. That was Prasarita, not whatever I said. Okay, let's go into another forward fold. This time we're gonna come into ragdoll. So we'll come feet together like we're in mountain pose. So we're gonna inhale, reach up really tall. We're reaching up, creating space in between our vertebra, come down to your heels, and then we'll come forward. And then this time, you can grab your elbows here, you can bend your knees if that feels good. You can kind of go hip width apart if that's more comfortable for you. And then slowly roll your head to the top. Your head's gonna come up last. And then feet together, come back to mountain pose, roll your shoulders back and down, align yourself. We can activate our feet here, so you wanna lift your toes, so that way you can kind of feel where those 2 points on the front balls of your feet are, and then the back point of your heel, it's like a triangle. So we wanna make sure we're pressing down on our feet like this, because we're always in shoes and we aren't really connected to our feet that much. So by lifting your toes, you can kind of activate your feet and get on those 3 corners better. Okay, so let's come into a sun salutation. So we're gonna come to the front of our mat. And so we'll start in mountain pose. So feet together. We'll start with our hands at our heart. And then we're gonna inhale, we'll come into a slight back bend. So we'll stay here for a breath. So when we come into our back bend, you wanna bring your navel into your spine and lift through the rib cage. And that protects the low back, so that way you're not bending into the low back. Your navel's in towards your spine and you're lifting up through the rib cage. So we'll just stay here for a breath to see what that feels like. And then we'll come down into our forward fold. So we'll take a couple breaths here. And then let's come up halfway into our half forward fold. So place your fingers on your shins. And then you're gonna look about like 2 feet out in front of your toes. And we're bringing our shoulder blades onto our back. So we're just creating a really straight back with this pose. So really straight spine, the top of your head is facing the front of the room. So really flat back. We'll inhale, exhale, come back into our forward fold. And then we'll bring the right foot back into a low lunge. So we'll start here. You wanna make sure your knee is over your ankle. So you're feeling the stretch in the right hip flexor. We'll take a couple breaths here. And then we'll bring our left foot back into plank. So you can stay on your knees or you can come onto your toes. So you wanna make sure your shoulders are over your wrists. You wanna keep your butt low. Bring your navel in towards your spine. We'll take 3 breaths here. And then we'll come into chaturanga, our half push-ups. So our elbows stay by our sides. We're coming halfway down. We'll take one breath. And then let's come all the way down. And then let's come into Sphinx pose. So your elbows come under your shoulders. And then we want to roll our shoulders back and down. We'll gently look up, feet together. So you want to really bring your shoulder blades onto your back here and feel the expansion across your chest. And then slowly come down, and then let's push back into downward dog. So feet hip width apart, hands hip width apart. You can bend your knees here if you need to, drive your tailbone up towards the sky, or you can straighten your legs, whatever feels good. We're gonna look in between our toes. Take some really deep breaths here. You can pedal your feet left and right if that feels good. And then we're gonna look forward, and then we're gonna bring the left foot through into a low lunge. You can come into a high lunge if you want to. And then make sure your knees over your ankle. Feel the stretch in the right hip flexor. And then bring the right foot forward. And then we'll slowly roll to the top. Our head comes up last. And then we'll come back to mountain pose, feet together. Roll our shoulders back and down. Stand up tall, coming into Tadasana. Okay, so let's do that on the other side. So we're gonna bring our hands to our heart, and then before we come into the back bend, so remember, you're gonna bring your navel in towards the spine, and you're gonna lift through the rib cage, and that's gonna protect your low back. So hands to your heart, and then we're gonna inhale, bring your navel into your spine, lifting through the rib cage. Take a couple breaths here. And if that didn't make sense, you know, we can do it again, like just bring your navel in towards your spine and then kind of go back, because you can feel the difference in your low back. And then let's come into our forward fold. I don't want to hit the wall. And then let's come down. We'll come forward. You can grab the back of your legs here, your ankles, whatever feels good. Just take a couple deep breaths. And then we're gonna come into our halfway lift. So your palms are on your shins, and then you're gonna look about 2 feet in front of your toes. The top of your head is facing the front of the room, and your shoulders are coming onto your back here. We're just creating a really straight spine, really flat back. Make sure you're breathing. Then come forward into our forward fold. And then we're gonna start with the left foot back. So come into your low lunge. And if you want, you can come into a high lunge here, whatever feels good. I'm gonna come into a high lunge. So you wanna make sure your knee is over your ankle. And then let's come into plank pose. So you can come onto your knees or you can come onto your toes. So you wanna make sure your feet are together. Make sure your shoulders are over your wrists. You want to make sure your navel is in towards your spine. Keep your butt low. And then let's come into Chaturanga. So we'll come halfway down. Keep your elbows by your side. We'll take a breath. And then come all the way down. And then let's come into Cobra, Bhujangasana. So your hands come under your shoulders. And then we'll inhale, lift up. So your elbows stay by your sides here. So if this doesn't feel good, then come back into Sphinx pose. So you want your shoulders onto your back here, so you feel expansion across your chest. And then let's come down. And then let's push back into downward dog. So feet hip width apart. Take some really deep breaths here. You can pedal your feet left and right if that feels good. Make sure you're taking the yogic breath. So we're inhaling, pushing our belly out. Exhale, push your belly in. And then let's look forward. We'll step that right foot through so you can come into a high lunge or a low lunge. You want to make sure your knee stays over your ankle. Take a couple deep breaths here. So we want to make sure we're doing the yogic breaths because we're activating our rest and digest nervous system. It's also how we get more oxygen in our body. The more oxygen we have, the more red blood cells that we have, the more energy we have for our body to do everything. So really take some deep breaths here, like really breathe deeply. And then let's bring that left foot forward and then slowly roll to the top. Your head's gonna come up last. Just take your time. Then when you come to the top, come back to mountain pose. So feet together, pull your shoulders back and down. Okay, and then we're going to come into Prasarita again. So our feet hip width apart, a little bit more than hip width apart, and then our toes are facing inwards. And then this time, we're gonna clasp our hands behind us. If you can't clasp your hands, just leave your hands on your hips. So clasp your hands behind you. We're gonna inhale. You can come into like a slight back bend, and then exhale, come forward, leading with the chest. So coming into a forward fold. Let your arms fall forward. And then bring your arms back to your lower back. And then leading with the chest, come up. Let's heel toe our feet back together. Come back to mountain pose, Tadasana. Okay, let's come into triangle pose, Trikonasana. So we'll start with the left foot forward. The right foot is gonna come back, and we're gonna line up our heels here, and our right foot is straight. And then we're gonna bring our arms to a T, like we're gonna come into warrior two. And then we're gonna straighten that front leg, and then we'll inhale, come forward, and then exhale, come down. So you can place your hand on your calf or your ankle or the mat. You just want to feel the stretch down the left inner thigh. So look up at your hand. If it's all diagonal like this, you want it straight. And then we can look back down towards the mat, or you can look up towards your right hand. Just take some deep breaths here. And then let's bring the right arm down, bend the left knee, and then we'll come out of that, and we'll come back to mountain pose. Feet together, coming into Tadasana, stand up really tall. You want to feel that string being pulled through the top of your head. Okay, let's come into triangle pose on the other side. So right foot forward, left foot back. So line up your heels here. And then bring your arms to a T, like you're gonna come into warrior two. And then straighten that right knee. And then we're gonna inhale, come forward. And then exhale, come down. So you can put your hand on your calf, on your ankle, on the mat, and then look up towards your left hand. Make sure it's straight, your arm is straight. And then you can look down to the mat, or you can keep your head up towards that left hand. And then bring the left arm down, bend your right knee. Let's come out of that. You can heel toe together if you'd like. Come back to mountain pose. Feet together, come into Tadasana, stand up really tall. Okay, let's come into side angle pose. So left foot out. This time your right foot is gonna come into an angle, and you're gonna line up your heel with the middle of your right foot. And then we're gonna bring our left forearm to our left thigh. You wanna make sure your knee stays over your ankle. So bring your left forearm to your left thigh, and then we're gonna inhale, bring our arm up and over our head. So the left palm is facing up, the right palm is facing down. Take some deep breaths here. And then circle the right arm and bring the left foot in. Let's do that on the other side. So right foot forward, your left foot is back. So our knee is over our ankle. You're lining up your heel with the middle of the left foot, and then bring your forearm to your thigh. We'll inhale, bring our arm up over our head. And circle that left arm, and then bring the left foot forward. Come back to mountain pose, feet together. Okay, let's come into another forward fold. So inhale, reach up really tall. Exhale, come forward. So just get deeper into the stretch this time. Really feel the stretch in the back of the shoulders and your lower back, in the back of the calves, the back of the thighs. And then from here, we're gonna walk our feet back into downward dog. So again, feet hip width apart. We're driving our tailbone up to the sky, driving our heels down into the mat, or as close as you can. They don't have to touch the mat. You just want to feel a stretch down the back of the legs. And then from here, let's come onto our knees. Let's come into child's pose. So feet together, knees hip width apart. Coming into child's pose.
Powering on. Ready to pair. Paired. Okay, and then let's come onto all fours, and then let's bring our feet together. We'll come into a seated position. So we're going to come into camel pose, Ustrasana. So we're going to come onto our toes, and then we're going to bring our hands to our lower back here. So we want to bring our shoulder blades together on our back, and then we're going to inhale, lift our hips up, exhale, so come into our back bend. So you just really want to feel the expansion across your chest here. You can open your mouth and stretch your jaw. And then leading with the chest, let's come down. And then let's come onto our heels, and then let's come into folded leaf. So we'll bring our arms by our side, bring your head to the mat. Your palms are facing up, and then let your shoulders roll over your thighs. And then let's come into Sarvangasana, hair pose. So we'll come onto the top of our head and grab the back of your heels and really roll around your back out here. And then come back down onto your feet, and then let's sit up into our seated position. And then come into easy pose.
Actually, yeah, let's come into easy pose. We'll start with the right foot out and then bring the left foot in. We're coming into extended side angle. So we're gonna inhale, reach up really tall, and then exhale, we'll come over to the right. So you feel a stretch all down the left side. If you need to bring your arm down, you can. So that way you can get deeper into the stretch. Or you can keep it up like this. And then come back to center, big circle with the arms. So let's come into head to knee pose. So we'll inhale, and then we're gonna face our right knee, and then exhale, come down. So we're getting a little deeper in the back here. And then inhale, come up, and then exhale, big circle with the arms. So let's do that on the other side. So we'll bring our right foot in. So our left foot comes out, so you want to flex that left foot. And then we're going to inhale, reach up really tall. And then exhale, come over to the left. So you'll feel a stretch all down the right side. If you need to drop your left hand, you can. See if with every breath you can just get deeper into the pose. And then inhale, come back to center, big circle with the arms. So we'll do head to knee pose on the other side. So inhale, then face that left knee, come down. Inhale, come back to center, big circle with the arms, exhale. Okay, and then let's bring our feet out in front of us. We'll come into Tadasana. So inhale, reach up really tall. Exhale, come forward. And then come back to the top. So we want to sit up really tall. We're going to come into our twist. Ardha, no, that's half moon pose. So we'll come into our twist. We'll start with the left foot over the right knee, and then we'll bring the right hand behind us. Sorry, the other side. Left hand behind us, and then bring your elbow to your knee. So we're going to sit up really tall. Inhale. Exhale, twist to the left. So we're going to use our eyes to deepen the twist. So you're going to look as far to the left as you can. And take some really deep breaths here. You're giving your organs a really good squeeze. And then come back to center, release that. We'll
do that on the other side. So right foot over the left knee, and then bring your right hand behind you. And then let's bring our elbow to our knee. We'll sit up really tall. Inhale. Exhale, twist to the right. So we're looking as far to the right as we can. We're deepening the twist with our eyes. Take some really deep breaths. We're giving our organs a really good detox, really good squeeze. And then come back to center, release that. Bring your feet out in front of you. And then we're gonna come into boat pose, Navasana. So let's bring our feet to the mat. And then we're gonna roll back down onto our sit bone, on our tailbone, and then we're on both of our sit bones. So we're making like a little boat. And then our arms are gonna come up to shoulder level, and then our knees are gonna come up. Take 3 breaths here. And then let's bring our feet to the mat. Let's grab our knees. We'll roll back onto our backs. And bring our knees into our chest to release our backs. You can rock left and right if that feels good. And then let's bring our feet to the mat. And then we're gonna come into eye of the needle. So you're gonna bring your left ankle over your right knee, and then grab behind your knee, and then bring your knee into your chest. So you're gonna feel this in the left hip flexor, the back of the leg. And then let's release that. Bring your knees into your chest again. Rock left and right if that feels good. And then we're gonna come back into a neutral spine. The right ankle, we're gonna rotate 3 times to the right. And then 3 times to the left. And then the left ankle 3 times to the right. And then 3 times to the left. And then let's come into eye of the needle on the other side. So bring your feet to the mat, and then bring the right ankle over the left knee, grab behind the left knee, and bring your knee in towards your chest. You may notice that one side is tighter than the other. It's totally normal. Just breathe through anything that feels tight. Just send your breath to the tight spaces. And then let's release that. Bring your knees into our chest again. Rock left and right one more time. Just giving your organs a nice little massage. And then let's come into Shavasana, corpse pose. So take up as much space on your mat here as you'd like. So palms face the ceiling. Let your feet fall to each side. And just slowly let your breath fall back into its natural rhythm. And then you're going to imagine a bright blue sky in front of you. And there's going to be a huge smile that just appears out of the sky. Smile fills the whole sky. And just start to gently just let your forehead relax. Just let all the little muscles in your brow smooth over. Start to let your eyes relax. Feel the little muscles of the corner of your eyes relax. Imagine a slight smile at the corner of your eyes here. Let your jaw relax. Let your tongue fall back into the root of your mouth. Imagine a slight smile at the corner of the lips. Let your neck and your shoulders relax. See if you can let the tension go. Just feel the tension moving from ice to water, from water to gas. Feeling your arms relax and see if you can feel the aliveness, the tingling aliveness in your fingertips. Feel the life that lives there right now. Moving into your heart, just take a moment and see what's present in your heart. Maybe you're full of joy, happiness. Maybe there's a heaviness or a sadness. Maybe even an irritability because you don't want to look at what's in there. Just take a moment and take a look. We'll go ahead and add a smile, not covering over anything, not covering anything up, just add a smile. Moving down to your belly, just feel your belly relax. Let that breath fall into its natural rhythm, not focusing on the inhale and the exhale, just feeling relaxed. Add a smile across the navel. Moving down into the pelvic bowl, into the second chakra. Just let your hips relax. Add a smile from hip to hip. Start to feel the length and the volume of your legs. So you feel them rest against the mat. You feel the aliveness, the tingling sensation in your toes. Little nerves firing, your blood moving. Now see if you can become aware of all the aliveness that's happening right now as a whole. And slowly start to wiggle your fingers and toes. Bringing some life back into your limbs. And slowly bring your right arm up over your head and roll over onto your right side, just taking a moment. Then slowly come up into a seated position, eyes closed, hands to your heart. So as we all know, there's a lot of chaos and anger and fear going on in the collective consciousness. And so I just wanted to remind everyone that the yoga is just so important right now, and all the tools that we're using, because it helps you become aware of your thoughts. And that's why I use it. It helps me become aware of when I get out of the higher frequencies and into the lower vibrations where my mindset is going, same shit, different day. And when your brain is going, same shit, different day, you can slowly seep into that negativity and despondency, and all of a sudden you're having a bad day. So that's what these tools are for. These tools are for you to pull yourself out of that lower vibration and get into the higher vibration and the frequencies. So that way you can remember, where is my mind at? You know, sometimes you can start having all these negative thought patterns and then you don't even realize you're thinking that way. So these are all tools that I use. The breath and the mantras and the spirit to spirit that we did in the beginning, these are all things I do to help me realize, where is my mind at? Is my mind on the path of whatever I'm supposed to be doing that day, making my lunch or going to work, you know, or am I thinking negatively? Am I thinking, I don't feel good, or, you know, thinking poorly about myself? So it's always just a reminder, where is your mind at? Where are your thoughts at? Are your thoughts on the highest frequency? Are you just thinking the best positive thoughts about yourself? Others, it's okay to have negative thoughts, but, you know, when you get in that lower vibration, sometimes you could just have a bad day just because of that. So this is all just things that are constantly helping you realize, where's my mind at? And even if you just have the ability to say, what am I even thinking about right now? You know, it helps you just remember, I'm going to take a breath. This person's pissing me off. I'm going to take a walk. I'm going to listen to a mantra. You know, where am I thinking right now? Where's my mind at? So that's why I like to do the spirit to spirit, because it helps me align with spirit, and then so that way I can have the best outcome of whatever I'm doing, even if it's I'm making lunch or getting ready for the day. So we're going to do it one more time so you can do it on your own as another tool that you have in your toolbox to remember, where's my mind at? Am I on the highest frequency pathway? So all you do is you acknowledge your own spirit. It's inside your chest. You can pick a color for it. I like to pick a color so it helps me see it. So acknowledge your spirit. You acknowledge your healing guides, your helpers, the saints and sages you work with, your angels, whoever's around you that's there to help you, and the highest versions of themselves. And then you want to acknowledge the God, truth, I like to say universal cosmic consciousness. So that way you're aligned with your own spirit and you're aligned with the spirit. So thank you for coming to my yoga class. Namaste.